But today we have Dr. Idris Yana and our special guest, Professor Rabia. But before calling both of them, I think we'll start with Dr. Yakubu, who's our coordinator for AYMP. We'll hear from Dr. Yakubu on how you could get involved with AYMP. Dr. Yakubu, over to you now, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to welcome everyone to this session on behalf of the organizers and all the mentors of the AYMP. So like I normally say, in case this is the first time you are joining us, I advise people to refer back to our previous sessions, which are already on YouTube and our Facebook pages. Secondly, today, actually the topic of the presentation is of particular interest to me. I recently shared my article that was published, I think, in November by 3 national dailies regarding this risk-taking and resilience. We delay gratifications for future successes. So I am happy also to join this session today and look forward to learning a lot from my brother, Dr. Idris. And also Professor Rabia is here with us. She's our mentor, actually. She's a mother to us, and we look forward to her also to deliver. So she will make a presentation today also as a special guest. I think she has some few slides to present. Perhaps, I know Dr. Tariq will present her before Dr. Idris. So on behalf of all of us, I would like to welcome you all to this session. And we look forward to having a history session. Without taking much of time, Dr. Tariq, I think I should hand over back the virtual mic to you to commence the program.
Right, thank you very much. Yes, as you've mentioned, Professor is our mother, she's our mentor, and she actually needs no introduction. She's been with us right from the start of the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program, but for the benefits of those that are probably joining for the first time, Prof is a physicist and she's a professor of atmospheric and space weather physics. She's also a researcher at Bayero University, Kano. She is a fellow of the Institute of Applied Physics in Bern, Switzerland, the Ford Foundation and African Scientific Institute. Prof is a facilitator for the British Council Active Citizen programs, and she encourages young people to develop efficient and peaceful communication skills for sustainable development in their communities. She was one of the 9 honored as a women advocates and champions in Nigeria in March 2015 as part of the International Women's Day by the British Council. Thank you very much for being here today, Prof. I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tariq, and all the participants that are present here today, and our honored speaker that's going to actually speak about the topic to do is to dare, and risk-taking and resilience as a recipe for success. I believe that almost all of us would be benefit from what she's going to say. So I'm actually not going to give a lecture, but just to give us some quotes that would be helpful to us in as we listen to what she's going to say. So just like a background, or what we call in this thing in Hausa Shimfida. So that's just what I'm going to do, and then I will hand over to him. And but for the purpose of probably being able to go back to look at it, I just want to let's see if I can share. I'm actually using my I'm using my iPad, so I will see if I can share just some few slides. I will. This is just the topic, but what I want to talk about is this. On the topic, I want to illustrate 2 things That is risk-taking and resilience. And I want to use this, I will talk about using just some quotes. The quotes actually talk to us about the risk-taking and about resilience. So I will use some quotes. The first one is the one from Alan Quatermain, who is the protagonist in the 1885 Sir H. Rider Haggart's novel, King Solomon's Mines. For those who have read, to recall this protagonist. And then the second one is John Greenleaf Whittier, 1807 to 1891. Some of the quotes, from some of his quotes, I will take one. And then I'm a fan of Jalaluddin Rumi, so I will also take one on Jalaluddin Rumi. And then the other one is the contemporary Imam, Dr. Omar Suleiman. Many young people know about him and they listen to his khutbah. From Alan Quatermain, when he talked about risk-taking and resilience, he has this to say, that there is nothing in this world that a man cannot do. No mountain, there's no mountain he cannot climb, no rivers he cannot cross. But what is important is if God leads him, and if he takes his life in his hands, ready to lose it or keep it as heaven may order. So if one stays with these quotes, then they would be able to take risks and to be resilient in whatever they do. The second one from John Greenleaf Whittier is about not quitting. And resilience, as we all know, is about that, not quitting, not quitting. So when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you are trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debates are high, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange, with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure comes about, when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you are hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. For all the sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, it might have been. So it's one of the things that you would regret if you do not try. Jalaluddin Rumi, in his own urging us to be also to be resilient, says, when you go through a hard period, when everything seems to oppose you, when you feel you cannot even bear one more minute, never give up, because it is the time and place that the course will divert. And lastly, this I took from the tweet from Dr. Omar Suleiman. When you find yourself in a suffocating difficulty from which you see no way out, reflect on that time before when you didn't think you would make it, and He, Allah, not only brought you out of it, but made you stronger. This time will be no different, inshallah. And then finally, just this morning, I was looking at the Facebook page of a friend, and I saw this, and I thought it is also worthy of sharing. It says, persistence is the most traveled path to success. Don't take any detours. So persist and never give up. This is just a taster for us to listen to Dr. Yana, and I believe what's going to tell us will be very relevant, and it will be something that we would be able to use in all our journeys towards success. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Prof. And if we are to ponder on these 4 or 5 slides that Prof just showed today, we would realize that each and every one of those is a lecture on its own. So we could spend an hour or 2 hours on each and every of those different slides. So that's a lot of very much important information being compacted into 4 or 5 slides. So thank you very much, Prof, for sparing time in your busy life to be here with us and give us this very short and very insightful, very useful, very interesting talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I will call on our speaker today. Our speaker is Idris Hamza Yana. Idris Hamza Yana was born in Yana, which is in Bauchi State, and he attended Model Primary School, Yana, Government Science Secondary School, Misau, and Government College, Azare. Then he obtained his bachelor's in education English, and then master's degree in English and literary studies from Bayero University, Kano. Upon the completion of his NYSC, Yana worked with the Radio Nigeria's Globe FM Bauchi as program producer. Then he later joined journalism after securing a contract appointment to teach at a newly established Jigawa State College for Remedial and Advanced Studies in Kafin Hausa. A year later, this institution was transformed into the State University, where Yana was absorbed as a staff into the university. And since then, he's been a lecturer at the Department of Languages, which is now the Department of English and Literary Study in the university. Yana is currently a doctoral researcher at the University of Exeter in England, where he's doing research on women and the gendering of space in the narratives of post-colonial Kenya. He's happily married with 2 beautiful children. Thank you very much. I'll pass the virtual mic on to you. You would have about an hour. That way we could have a few minutes for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad. And yeah, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here today to speak to the teeming youth in Arewa on the topic to do is to dare, resilience and risk-taking as recipe for success. And to be honest with you, the brief presentation by Prof is enough, as Dr. Ahmad has rightly said, if we were to digest it and to expand it. And even as it is now, if we were to reflect back on it, I think we could go back and say, yeah, we have had a very wonderful session and a very productive one indeed. However, since the onus is on me to talk about it further, so I will try to do justice after what Prof has said. And yeah, unlike Prof and Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Udul, who are all scientists, I am not a scientist, I am a student of letter. So I will try to speak directly to my audience in a less scientific way, in a language that me and Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. Mohsen, as you would want to hear, will speak. So yeah, inshallah, that's what I will try to do. So I will share my slide. But just to check, I have a little fan behind me, Dr. Ahmed. I don't know if the noise is distracting, so I can turn it off.
Okay. Not at all, not from my side, I can't hear anything.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I will start by sharing my screen. So as I said, the title, as most of you must have seen in the flyer, the title is To Do is to Dare, Risk-Taking and Resilience as Recipes for Success. And this is what I'm going to talk about, inshallah. Now, before I start my talking, I like engaging my audience when talking. So I want us to do a little exercise, and it's very simple. So since most of you are online, whether you are on Zoom or you are watching us on Facebook, I want you to go to your browser and type www.menti.com. And once you enter, you would see that you are required to enter code. These are the codes 41564734. So when you get there, once you enter the code, you will see 3 lines or 3 columns. And what I want you to write in those columns is, I want you to write what resilience means to you. What do you understand by the term resilience, or how do you use the term resilience if you are to explain it to somebody? While you type your thoughts on Menti, I will share your thoughts, which is in a word cloud, as soon as you start typing. So it's easy, just go to www.menti.com and enter the code 41564734, and then enter your answers, and then we will see what you have. I'm monitoring it now, and once you start yep, so I will start presenting. So I will stop presenting this. I will stop sharing the screen, and then I will share this one. Just bear with me a second. Yeah. So yeah, so this is what people think about the word resilience: to stick to a cause, not giving up. Resilience means not staying strong, persistence to strive, not giving up easily. Wow, that's very wonderful. Fighting, I love this one. Trying, struggling. Yeah, not giving up, resilience, persistence to strive. That's beautiful. Staying on track. Thriving. That's also hustle, risk, fighting, perseverance, constancy, withstanding difficulty, passion to achieve something. So yeah, so thank you very much for your input. I will stop sharing this screen now, but you keep on bringing them in, and yeah, I will capture them as a photo, and then eventually I will share them with everyone in our different platforms. Thank you very much. So now let's go back to our slides. So now, since we have seen some of the ideas that people have regarding what resilience means, I will go on with the discussion. So yeah, so the first thing I will touch on is the dictionary meaning of the word or the term resilience. So I have 2 meanings here. So the first one, it says the quality of being able to return quickly to a previous good condition after problems. And the second one says the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. So these are basic dictionary definitions of resilience. But as my students always know, I hate definitions because I'm not a science student. So let's go to a more meaty conception of resilience. So here we have this from the American Psychology Association, APA, and it says the resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress, such as family relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. It means bouncing back from difficult experience. Now, this does justice to what resilience means, and I think it captures most of what resilience entails. So let's quickly look at the keywords here. Now the keywords here are we have capacity, quality, and process. Then we have return, recovery, adapting. Then we have problems, difficulty, toughness, and then we have bouncing back. Now these are very important. If we look at resilience, before you become resilient, yeah, somebody is writing now on our on our. I think Dr. Udil, if you can log the board, I think that would be good. So yeah, so before you become resilient, Alima Azu is writing capacity, quality, and process. So capacity and quality are very important, which are required in order for you to recover or to return to a course or to adapt to a difficult situation, problem, or toughness. Now, in sum, we can say bouncing back. So there are some myths about resilience, and these myths usually come from people who are looking for an excuse. Now, before we go to the myths and truths, I think the most important thing we should know is that as human beings, and as some of the quotes shared by Prof. Rabia have shown, as human beings, there is no limit to what you can do in this life. And this is the first thing you should tell yourself. There is no limit to what you can do in this life. You can do anything you want. What is needed is just the motivation. Now, there are some myths and there are countering truths about resilience. So some people will tell you that resilience is a trait people are born with. Okay, so somebody has taken over the sharing.
Yeah, it looks like we have a, we need to check.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Dr. Yana, can you reshare now? Can you reshare your slides?
Yeah. Yeah. If I do that, it will close the whiteboard. Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. Yes.
So yeah, thank you. That's clear now. So some people will tell you that resilience is a trait people are born with. So some people will say, okay, if you are not born with resilience, you cannot be resilient. So once they tell you that, it means perhaps it has some genetic predispositions, which means if you don't have these predispositions, then you cannot be resilient. But that is one big fat lie, because resilience is a skill that can be learned and developed over time. So nobody should tell you that you are not born with resilience, so you cannot be resilient. No, you can learn it and it can be developed over time. So this is countering the first myth. The second myth is resilient people cannot be stressed or have negative feelings. So it is assumed that people who are resilient, they are not stressed by any difficulty, or they cannot have moments of doubt in their lives. But that's not true. They can be stressed and they can feel negative, but the most important thing about them is that they respond with positive attitude. So when they have the problem or when they face setback, they bounce back with positive attitude. After the presentation, I will expand on this with so many examples that we all know. So the third myth about resilience is that resilient people are independent and tough. So maybe people who are resilient tend to be independent, they don't require anybody, and they are very tough in their decision, they are very tough in their dealings with life, so they don't need anybody. But that is not true. Resilient people use family and friends as their best resources. So they always fall back to their family and friends whenever they face. In fact, that is what resilience is all about, you know, not relying solely on yourself, but falling back to people who are always there for you. The fourth myth about resilience is that adversity is a source of strength. But the truth is, learning and perseverance are what make you strong. So it's not the adversity that makes you strong, but learning from that adversity and persevering is what makes you strong, not necessarily the adversity itself. Because the adversity is naturally meant to break you, not to make you strong. So, but what you learn from it and how you persevere in dealing with it is what really makes you a resilient person. Now, dealing with shago, and shago here means the punches. So in life, what determines your resilience is your ability to bounce back to situations when they occur, especially setbacks and difficulties. So the shago here means the punches, the difficulties, the challenges that you face. So dealing with these difficulties, you have to bounce back after the punch. Now, most of the problems people face is that when they have the first setback in their life, they give up. We have live examples. For example, somebody wrote jam and they fell. Instead of bouncing back, they give up. Now, another thing is that, don't get this wrong, bouncing back doesn't mean doing what you have been doing or repeating what you have been doing. So if you fail a jam, the first thing you should do before you re-register for jam is to ask yourself, why did I fail jam in the first place? What did I do wrong? How can I make it better? This is dealing with shago. So you cannot sleep in your room and then go to the exam hall and write exam and fail and repeat the same thing next year and expect to have a different result. Psychologists consider this as a mental problem. The second thing is identifying opportunities in setbacks. So when you face a setback, you are supposed to identify what are the opportunities that are there for you so that you can take advantage of these opportunities and bounce back. So this is the second way to deal with the shago. Then the third one is to focus on solving the problem with calmness. And calmness here means assessing the situation. So when you face a setback, the most important thing is to relax. Sit down, relax. Don't blame anybody. Don't blame yourself, but assess the whole process. And once you do that, you will identify what must have gone wrong, and then you can be able to rise up again. This is part of resilience. And learn from setback and grow. So learning from the setback and growing here means when you learn from the setback, don't linger with it. For example, when you fail an examination or when you fail a job interview, don't go back and keep on brooding, keep on brooding over it. Oh, I failed. Oh, people hate me. Oh, it's not my luck. No, this is growing with it. But when you grow out of it, you consider it as your past, as part of your learning process. When you are learning, for example, in primary school, when you begin to learn alphabet, you are using pencil. Why did they give you pencil? Or in our time, we were given a small slate board, blackboard with chalk, because you are likely to fail in your first attempt. So when you fail, you clean it, you dust it, and then you rewrite again. And then before you know it, you become expert in it. So learn and grow from it. Also brace for future challenges. Always prepare for future challenges, because when you demonstrate certain level of resilience while facing a particular situation, does not mean that that situation or that difficult situation is the only situation you are likely going to encounter. The whole life is a process of different encounters, of different setbacks and difficulties. So always prepare yourself for future challenges, and we will expand more when we come to talk about risk. Focus on what you have control over. This is also important. You went for a job interview, you failed for that interview, or you were not successful for that job interview. There's nothing you can do about it. You are not the one who offered the job. So why worrying about it? It's gone. Somebody has taken it. What you should do? Focus on what you have control over. What do you have control over? Another job interview that you are likely going to attend, or another examination that you are likely going to write. So focus on that one, prepare for it. The last thing is put things into perspective. Now, putting things into perspective is what some people fail to do, and this affects their resilience level. There are things, so you need to have a clear picture of what you are trying to do before you do well in doing it. And how is that thing useful to you? So this is part of putting things into perspective. So don't just go into something because other people are going into that thing. Go into it because you are convinced that this is where you belong, or this is where you are likely going to be successful. Now, I have what I call resilience highway, or the way that will take you to resilience. So this, I have like 10 points for you on this regard. So the first thing is, you must think positively. Thinking positively is very important, and experts will tell you that the more positive you think, the more likely you are to succeed. Unfortunately, many people don't see it that way. So once there's problem, so if there's a problem for a particular area, people tend to absorb that problem as their own problem. So for example, when people write or apply for a job, maybe 100 people wrote and only 10 people are expected to be employed. So instead of thinking, wow, out of 100, only 10, how can I be among the 10? You should be thinking like, yes, one of the 10 people must definitely be me. That's really important, and that's positive thinking. Or when examination is coming, I think now the lowest level is 35 or 40. I don't know the current policy now. So instead of thinking, there's one attitude, especially during our undergraduate days, that you hear students telling you, I want to pass this course even with manjagara. And manjagara is alluding to wreck, and wreck with the hooks or whatever you want to call it. So the manjagara is E. So they are content to pass the course with an E. But instead, think of, wow, I must get an A. So if you get B, at least it's also good, but it's not as bad as manjagara. Also know yourself. Knowing yourself means knowing your potentials, knowing what you can do and what you cannot do. I know there is so much focus on education and certificate, or there has been so much focus on education and certificate, especially in the North, which we have now realized is detrimental to our human development, because many people have gone to the school to get the certificate, but there are no skills. And now the market is tilting towards skills. So know yourself. It's good to read, to have degrees, to have masters, to have PhD, to be a great scientist, great researcher. That is if you have the brain, if you have the capabilities. If you don't have that, identify where your strength is and follow it. For example, there are polytechnics, and these are schools for people who are skill-based, people who use their hands better than they use their brain. And these are the people that are highly in demand. So if you don't have the prerequisite, if you are not good for university education, if you cannot go and study, then why wouldn't you go for a skill? Or why wouldn't you go for entrepreneurship? So know yourself, know what you can do, and then follow your strengths. Build network. You cannot live in isolation. There's an old adage which says no man is an island. You cannot live by yourself. You cannot live alone. So build network. Whenever you have opportunity, connect with people, because people will lead you to success in one way or another, because they know what you don't know, or they can introduce you to what you might not know, and which will be the turning point in your life. Also, be your own boss. And by being your own boss, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have a mentor. We are all here to mentor you, but be your own boss in terms of decision making. Make sure that society or peer influence or even family do not influence your choice of what you want to do in your life. That's very important. Some families of doctors will want their son or daughter to be a doctor, whether they have the capabilities or not. You have the right to say, no, I want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a chef. You have the right to say that. But the most important thing is that whatever decision you take in your life, make sure that you weigh it based on your capabilities and you are ready to focus and to invest your intellect in that. Also understand perspective. Remember the perspective we've spoken. So understand the perspective where you fall into, what is best suited for you. That's really important. Then flexibility is key. Always be flexible. So be ready to accept change is very important. So when you follow a path and you realize this is not where you belong, there is no harm in being flexible. Or when you set a goal and you realize they are not achievable, then you can step back, rethink, and then reset your goals, and then you can be better. Challenge yourself. Always challenge yourself to do better. Challenge yourself to do more than what you have done yesterday. So what you should do tomorrow should be better than what you are doing today and what you have done yesterday. So challenging yourself is also part of resilience. Be kind to you. Now, many people think when they fail, it's their own fault. They begin to blame themselves. You hear them saying, why me, why me, why me? So that's not part of resilience. So to be resilient is to be kind to you. Appreciate the fact that you have made an effort, but you are not successful, and then try again. Also, your health is your everything. So make sure that whatever you do on your way to becoming resilient does not affect your health. And by health here, it could be mental or physical health. Sometimes you will keep on stressing yourself until you fall into depression. So take care of your health, think positively, eat well, sleep well, and also have good rest in whatever you do, whether it is studying or work or whatever. Also, finally, keep your resilience bar up. Always make sure that you always aim for the higher. Always check your resilience bar to make sure that the level of the bar today is better than what it was yesterday. This is also important. Now, this is it about resilience, but like I said, after all the long talk, we are going to come and talk about the personal or personal anecdote. But we are moving into risk taking, and like what we did in resilience, I want to know your opinion on what you think risk taking means. So if you can go back to Menti again, we have the new code 55713268. So let's have a look at what you think about risk taking.
Sorry, Doctor, can you share the code again, please?
Sorry? Okay.
Can you share? Yes.
Okay. So the code is 55713268. I will leave it. Yeah, so we have started getting some feedback, so I'll stop sharing this. So the code is 55713268. Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the feedbacks we are getting. Without second thought, doing unimaginable things, confidence in trying new, daring, doing impossible, sadaukarwa. I am not sure if sadaukarwa is risk-taking, but yeah, we will see. We have linguists. Yeah, jajircewa, that's resilience. They are in the status quo, action of taking risks, doing things differently, getting out of comfort, doing impossible, taking a loss or misfortune without second thought, daring seeming impossible, or not sure, courage, yeah, courage is risk taking. Taking a loss or misfortune, going all out, trying new things, being bold, I love this as well. Seizing opportunity, risk management, risky, risk taking, not doing things with positive, yeah. Getting out of comfort zone, yeah, that's also part of risk taking. Yeah. Taking calculated risk, yes. Confidence in one's ability, yeah. Okay. Yeah, trial, daring the result, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. As always, keep on your thoughts coming, and yeah, I will later share the final. Yeah, endangering yourself. Okay. Yeah, we will ask experts about this. But yeah, like I said, thank you very much for the feedbacks, and they really demonstrate that there is an understanding, a very good one, of what risk taking is. So just like resilience, so we have some dictionary meanings. So the act or fact of doing something that involves danger or risk in order to achieve a goal, willing to take risky action in the hope of a desired result. So these are dictionary meanings of risk taking. Then scientific meaning, accepting a challenging task that simultaneously involves potential for failures as well as for accomplishment or personal benefit. It is often associated with creativity and taking calculated risks in the workplace or in educational settings. And our focus are these two areas, educational setting and workplace, because the people we are mentoring are either students or people who are looking for a career. So the keywords are, we have action, willing, and acceptance. Then we have doing things that involve danger, taking risk, and accepting a challenge. And then what this leads you is achieving goal, achieving desired results, or accomplishment. So these are the words, the definitions. So there are many myths regarding risk taking, but I found these four very relevant and compelling. So we have, the first one is you must take all risks at once. So this I think has to do with lack of proper management. So you cannot take all risks as one, but it can be taken as often as required. So some risks come after you solve another risk. So you cannot take all, and even what you said to do, even if it requires so many risk taken, you should give priority to the first one or the most important one before taking another risk. And risk taking comes with time. So some people will try to convince you to believe that risk taking comes when you face challenges. But risk taking, in truth, requires deliberate effort. So you cannot change things when they get bad. You can only deliberately change before they get bad. I will come back to that and talk. So avoiding risk is avoiding hurt. So some people don't want to take risk because they don't want to fail, and when they fail, it hurts them. So because of that, they don't want to take risk. They want to stay in their comfort zone, and that is really detrimental to somebody's development in general, because when you avoid being hurt, then it's like avoiding leaving your comfort zone. And if you cannot leave your comfort zone, you can hardly achieve a certain level of success. Another myth is risk-taking is about saying yes. So many people think taking risk is accepting everything or saying yes to everything. But in reality, sometimes you have to say no. And by saying no is you have to stop and think. No matter how convincing a project seems like or prospective it looks like, you have to weigh the pros and cons and weigh whether there is going to be success or not while you take the risk before you take it. So saying no is more important than saying risk as far as risk taking is concerned. So these are some of the guides on how to take risk. So while taking risk, you should know why you are taking the risk, because the first step in facing risks and top decision making is that you should know the why. And understanding the why is what gives you motivation to make all the difference. So whether you are looking on risk or avoiding it, the key successful decision making is knowing why you are doing what you are doing. And experts recommend that you set your goals on what you wish to accomplish. Outline them clearly, make sure that they are specific and measurable. And sometimes we are often afraid to fail, that we avoid decision. So challenge your negative limits and negative limits or the limits or the negative limiting, the negative thoughts that limit your belief in yourself, and focus on what is evidently clear that is your strength or what you can do. Also, follow your goals with assurance. So don't just do something because you want it to happen. But when you want to do something, you have to do it actively and with assurance that the end result is what you are looking for. And again here, the most important thing is to focus on yourself, not on what other people are doing. For example, when a friend invests 1 million naira in maybe, for example, farming, it doesn't mean you two can just come and invest 1 million naira in farming. That's for example. So you have to know you have to have the assurance that you have the required knowledge and resources that that person who has invested and is gaining from his investment of 1 million in farming has, that you too do have them. If you don't have that assurance, then you don't just go into taking risk without thinking through these things. Also understand how you feel about the risk. And now here, understanding the feeling. So feeling here means the emotional approach you take. So some people tend to mistake anxiety and excitement. So your body might be feeling excited about the prospect of a risk you are about to take, but you might end up telling yourself that what you are feeling is anxiety, fear. So you should try to understand how you feel about the risk you are about to take. Sometimes the feeling you think is anxiety is actually a prospect. Also, weigh the pros and cons. So before you delve into any risk taking, make sure that you become informed on the decision you are about to make, do the research and find information on your own. So create a pros and cons list that touches on everything from the very best outcome to the worst outcome. And don't be afraid to ask for help from other people. And this is where the issue of networking comes in. But don't overthink things, because while it is important to make careful and calculated decisions, there is no value in loosening your reins by overthinking about things. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? That doesn't help. And risk takers don't dwell on so many negative what ifs. And also, there's an expert who views failure as first attempt in learning. So the word fail is like an acronym to first attempt in learning. So what this means is that you should try to understand that not everything will go according to plan. Even after taking all the precautions, making all the necessary arrangement, plan, study, and everything, sometimes things might not work out the way you want them to work out. But what do? You should understand that to fail is like to start learning. It's to start learning, because like I said, if you fail, you are most likely to avoid repeating the same thing you did earlier to fail, which psychologists view as a kind of mental disorder. So when you keep on repeating one thing, it shows that something is wrong with you. So try to understand that failure is part of learning. Now, why are we talking about resilience and risk-taking? Now, I believe I'm talking to people, mostly young people, who are looking for ways to make their life better, to be the better version of themselves, to survive the 21st century challenges, to have a purposeful life, and even to inspire others, to become mentors to others. Now, that's basically the reason why we are making this talk about resilience and risk-taking. So if you want to survive the 21st century challenges, you must be resilient and you must take risk. These two are very good recipes for your development, because in the last 10 years, things have changed. In fact, in the last 3 years after COVID, things have tremendously changed. But generally, in the last 10 years or so, things have changed to the extent that what we used to take for granted becomes valuable. And what we thought was valuable has become less valuable in terms of survival facing the 21st century challenges. For example, skill acquisition now is becoming coming in high demand now, or like before. So apart from the certificate, the degrees, the diplomas you have, you need to have skills, and these skills are what most of the employers, the potential employers, people who are likely to employ you, are looking for, not your certificate, but what you can do. So and also we understand that sometimes paid job, working in paid jobs now is not reliable. I remember in the last 10 years, if you tell some people working in government that they will wake up without salary, they will say it's lie. But now we have seen, especially in some state governments, in some states where the state governments don't pay salaries as and when do, or they don't pay the salaries in full. And this has forced a realization on people that they have to diversify their ways of looking for income. So things have changed. So for you, if you are reliant on salary, now for you to move away from that comfort zone, you need to take risks and you need to be resilient in terms of failures and bouncing back. So in a nutshell, this is why we are talking about this. And I will leave you with this question. You should ask yourself, and this determines how resilient or how motivated you are towards resilience. Now, the first question is, how do you normally respond to a difficult or challenging situation? When you're faced with a difficult situation, how do you respond to it? Think. If you have never thought about this, today is the right time to think about it. Do you give up? Do you try again? While trying again, do you repeat the same thing you have done before, or you do something differently? Yeah. Okay. Dr. Udo, did you do something?
Doctor, please share your slides again.
Okay. Yeah. So what situations are you currently facing that are a test of your resilience? So think, is it studying? Is it financial situation? Is it job? What are the situations you are currently facing that are testing your resilience? Think about them. Then think about the methods or techniques you have used to positively come back when you have suffered a setback or a disappointment. Then do you feel these have been successful? And if not, what do you think you can do differently in the future? Are there individuals you can use to inspire you when you are faced with a difficult challenge? And who are they and how do they motivate you? So these are some of the questions that are very key and that we should ask ourselves as far as our resilience and our risk taking is concerned. And I think, yeah, I need to stop here because we have question and answer session. So thank you very much for listening.
Wow, thank you very much for that detailed presentation about resilience and risk taking. Before I say a few things, I would like you to use, your virtual options to raise your hand if you want to ask some questions. But in the meantime, I think you've talked about a number of myths. Some of these myths people think over and over, especially when you talk about resilience being a trait that you're either born with it, it's either you're resilient or you're not resilient, and you've really clarified that in such a way that we all understand that it is a skill that can be learned and developed over time. It's not really something that you just born with. Other myths that you've talked about include resilient people can't be stressed or can't have any negative feelings, which of course, as you've clearly highlighted, this is not true. You've talked about a number of ways to bounce back, right? Or another way to be more resilient. Things like identifying opportunities in setbacks, focusing on solving the problem with calmness, so you have to be really calm, and also learning from the setback and really growing from that particular problem that you've encountered. And also the need to put things into perspective, right? So I think it's very, very interesting the way you talked about how one needs to think positively. And also you've mentioned about the emotions. I think that's a saying that if one doesn't take, or is not resilient or doesn't take risk, then what happens is the emotional tail wags the rational dog, which is really not, it shouldn't be the case. Rather, you should think about those feelings that you have, whether it's anxiety or it's a feeling of excitement, and really clearly identify between those different feelings and set forth and really go forth for whatever it is that you want to achieve. You talked about understanding the perspective, be your own boss, not really the example that you gave where you have a family of doctors and they want their kid to be a doctor. You really should think about what are your perspectives, what it is that you're good at, what are your skills, and then be your own boss in making that decision, not really depending on what your family or other colleagues around you want you to be. So I think that's also very interesting. Being flexible, we talked about flexibility and the need to really challenge yourself, because as I've mentioned in the introduction, and as you've also mentioned, when we just relaxed and calm in our comfort zones, and we don't really progress, but really we have to challenge ourselves and go for whatever it is that we aim to achieve. You talked about being kind to yourself. I think that's something I read some time ago where the statement says, if you're to treat yourself as you would treat other people or other people that you care about, you end up improving yourself much better. So you really have to be kind to yourself. Your health is you. You talked about being keeping up with keeping the resilience bar up, and that's in terms of resilience. In terms of myth, in terms of risk taking, you've also identified a number of myths, such as you must take all risk at once, which really isn't true, and that risk taking comes with time. So this requires deliberate effort. It's not really that you just take risk any time. And also you've mentioned about knowing why you want to take that. I think another important thing about, in addition to knowing why you want to take the risk, is knowing how you need to take the risk. Okay, you understand this is why you need to do it, and then how do you also then go ahead and take that risk, and from there you can identify the best ways possible. You talked about the pros and cons. I have a friend who always talk about the waste always think about the worst case scenario. What's going to be the worst case scenario, and how can you plan against that worst case scenario, and then you send forth and move forward to take whatever risk it is. Of course, it has to be a calculated risk, not just taking any risks. And then you've talked about why resilience and risk taking. So the need, why do you have to be resilient, and why do you need to take risk? Of course, from the title, in order to succeed or in order to progress, you just have to be resilient and take this risk. And you've also mentioned about the need, especially within these recent years, where we've seen a lot of changes in the way things used to operate. And then, of course, to have a purposeful life, it's very important. If you want to have a purposeful life, you have to be resilient. You have to be willing to take that risk, and to be a better version of yourself, to inspire others. I think we've really done justice, as I've mentioned earlier, to the topic. And finally, you've left us with a number of questions. Some of these questions we haven't really reflected upon, but I think you leaving us with this very interesting questions would really help in us identifying, first of all, who we are and how do we make those choices. So thank you very much for sparing time to give us this very insightful talk. I can see a few hands up. I'll call on Nafiu Bagudu. Do you have a question, Nafiu Bagudu? So if you want to ask a question, please now's the time to use the raise hand option. Nafiu Bagudu.
I think you have you granted him the access?
I've asked him to unmute.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Firstly, let me correct you, as you said, Nafiu, as Nafiu Bungudu, not Bagudu.
Sorry about that.
So what I want to share is that it's not a questions, but rather a will message and encouragement to ourselves. What I want to say here is, as a young people like me, so we should keep inviting people, that is our youth from Arewa, to join us a very important session like this. If we look at the numbers of participants that we have here, we are very much a number. So I think we should invite our friends and relatives to come and benefit from such programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nafi. Thank you. Next, I have Abubakar Ibrahim Shehu. Abubakar Ibrahim Shehu. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question or make your comment? Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Now, my name is Abubakar Ibrahim Shehu from Kaduna State.
I'm not sure.
I think his network has problem.
Yes. So
maybe Kaduna's network is not strong.
Yeah. I didn't say that. You said it, Doctor.
So we'll move on to Mujahid Dahiru. Mujahid Dahiru.
I have to my current, I obtained my degree.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Mujahid Bayero from Bukul Shirayana, Bauchi, Nigeria. Currently living in Enugu. My own is not a question, rather a big thanks to this team. I will start by commending your effort as you make your effort to us to see that Arewas are trying to create a new version of themselves. I want to just quickly recall that it is from these particular sessions or such sessions that I was told that the Melu Foundation is trying to give a grant within Africa. Unfortunately, I was applied And to date, we are waiting to be shortlisted. That is, we was on board, we was planned, and also we were pitched.
Thank you very much, Malam Mujahid. I think it's thank you very much for that commentation. Probably, I think today would want to hear questions or comments about on today's program. I do understand you have something very important to say. However, because it's not part of this sessions today, I think I would advise you to contact Dr. Udil through any of his contact details. The emails are there, and make your comment or recommendation on that. So thank you very much. Shamsuddin Al-Hassan.
We can always talk on the Telegram if they have some concerns. They should feel free to reach out.
Assalamu alaikum wa
rahmatullah.
My name is Shamsuddin Al-Hassan. I'm calling from UK, without State. Thank you for the presentation. We have learned a lot, actually. And my question is, it is really not easy to be resilient amid so many challenges and distractions in this contemporary environment. Like, for instance, how can I handle negative comments from friends? Like, if you apply for a scholarship and you are not able to get it, so negative comments like friends will be telling you that you cannot be able to get that scholarship because many people have applied and were not able to get it. And also, how can you deal with the distractions? Like, if you are trying to like register for an exams and you are thinking of buying a field to build a house, so many distractions like that. So please, how can we handle this kind of distractions? Thank you.
Okay, I think, can I respond to?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think we spoke about the positive thinking, about the application. So whenever you see an opportunity you want to apply, you think you would be among the successful, not among the unsuccessful. So always have this positive thinking, but the positive thinking should not be like blind positive thinking, just telling yourself, I will be. What efforts are you making to be among the ones that will be successful? So you must try to understand the organizational needs, what the organization needs, what are the requirements for the job you are applying or the scholarship you are applying? Do you qualify for that, and things like that? That's important. In terms of your second question, the handling with or dealing with distractions, I think it requires discipline. It requires discipline now to deal with distractions. So whether in terms of study, and I think you make reference to you make reference to maybe you want to build a house. Did you say something like building a house while you are studying? So you cannot do these things at the same time, unless, of course, if you are financially buoyant. So the first things first. What is your priority? Building a house or studying? If you're studying, then forget about house. Pursue your education. Finish. When you have a career, building a house will be like a child's play. I promise you that. You can do it in no time. So try to put things into perspective. That's what we have just talked about. What are your priorities? What do you want first? Education or building a house? Choose one, and based on your preferences, and then you will not have problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I'll call on Yusuf Muhammad. Do you have a comment or a question to make? To ask?
Okay. Good. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Yusuf Muhammad. I'm from northern part of Nigeria. I would like to appreciate you for giving us time to have this kind of wonderful presentation. Thank you all for the organizers. My question is, there are many talented youths out there who have the capacity to study. They know themselves, they know their capability, but due to lack of motivation, especially in terms of sponsorship, such kind of individuals, they can't afford to go for their studies. So this as such lead to many youths going into something different, of which most of our societies are now faced with. They usually fall in drug addiction, this kind of banditry and other things like that. So is there anything that such kind of youth that you are going to do for them as youth advocacy, Arewa youth advocacy?
Thank you, Yusuf. I think that's one of the aim of this program, actually, to try to bring people, our youth together and provide a kind of a mentorship program. Of course, you have to be willing to, put in the effort. It's not something that we go to your house and pick you up and try to train you. You have to subscribe, you have to be willing to participate in these programs. You have to join the sessions. There are a number of opportunities which are being advertised almost every day. So I think we're on the right track. That's what we're trying to do. That's one of the main aim of these sessions, trying to solve or try to contribute towards the progress of our community. Thank you. Unless if you have anything to add to that, Dr. Idris?
Not really. I think that is what we are doing. But yeah, you can also follow people like Dr. Yakubu Udul, Dr. Mohsin Mohammed on Facebook. They have wonderful posts about motivating youth and all that, apart from following our platform, which is Arewa Youth Mentorship Program. And inshallah, you will be all right. So,
yes. Thank you. Next, I have Dr. Bello Jakada.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Yana Idris and Professor Rabia. Thank you very much. I want to ask little from you, Professor Rabia and Yusuf Idris Yana, to give us a scenario of real life example of how you face some difficulties and how you became resilient and overcome that difficulty, especially for us, the young people in the science, environment, and academia. We need this insight, and that will give us, that will encourage us to be resilient and face any difficulty or challenge you might face during our career. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. Prof or Dr. Idris?
It has to be Prof first. Unless if she's
Is Prof with us?
Yes, I'm still here. It's just that the question is, once we start to talk about it, it's a long one, and I'm trying to search for a specific example. Probably the only one that comes to mind right now is when I was doing my PhD. And then I got stuck because I have to do some analysis, which actually requires that I have 24 hours. It has to be on the computer. You have to have it on and it continuously to analyze. And we don't, if the light goes off or the battery fails, it means that you'll have to start it all over again. So that was quite a big challenge, but I really wanted to continue with that. So what I did to overcome this is to send, I sent emails to universities and professors that I don't know, that I just found online. I remember that I sent to a university in Helsinki, Finland. I sent to the one in Switzerland. I sent to another in Austria. At least I know I sent up to 10 different emails and I did not get any response. So I started waiting until the professor in the University of Bern, Institute of Applied Physics, responded. And because I was working on dust aerosols, he now mentioned that in Switzerland there is no dust, but they are working on ice aerosols. And it's possible that the analysis I'm trying to do, I could be able to adapt some of the codes that they are using and then change some of the parameters to that of dust, and then I could now do my analysis. And that was what happened. But so in the resilience in this case, or the risk taking, is the persistence. I persisted. I was given a choice to change topics since I'm not able to do this one, but that was the one I wanted to do. So I persisted, and then I tried and found ways in which I could be able to do it. This is just one. There are so many others which I cannot remember now, and the time is not even enough to do that. So I will leave Dr. Idris Yana to tell us something.
Thank you, Prof.
Well, thank you, Ma, and I would like to thank Dr. Jakada on behalf of the youth, because this is more useful to the youth people, the youthful people we are talking to. So I will give two scenarios. I believe we are planning to do a roundtable session, right, Dr. Woodell, where people will share their experience of resilience. Now, I will give two personal anecdotes just because Dr. Musin said we must be telling people our stories. Now, my first story is when I was doing my undergraduate, my goal was to become a lecturer after completing my undergrad or master's. So I was working towards 2-1 because I know 2-1 is the benchmark for becoming a graduate assistant when you graduate. Unfortunately, I couldn't graduate with 2-1. I graduated with 3.47 or something, which was short of 2-1, so it's 2-2. Now, what did I do? I didn't want to be deterred from my ambition of becoming a lecturer. So immediately after my NYSC, I enrolled in master's. Now, this is an example of resilience. I was advised by my supervisor to appeal for the results, blah, blah. I said, no, I will do master's straight away. So I started master's straight away. And coincidentally, it is this master's that got me the teaching job in the college. Now, this is resilience. Now, for the risk taking, when I finished NYSC, and I deliberately put this in my bio today so that people would notice that, when I started working with Radio Nigeria, it was permanent and pensionable job and with federal government. So it is the job that people will try to call job security. So while I was doing that, my passion is to be in the class. So I got the opportunity to teach in a college, in a remedial college, but it's on contract appointment of 2 years. So after 2 years, my employers, the state government, will decide not to renew the contract and I will lose my job. So I had the decision to leave federal government job, which is permanent and pensionable, and to take a contract job of 2 years. So this is where risk taking comes. But I did it. I took the risk, I took the job. Unfortunately for me, after 1 year of serving in the college under my contract appointment, the college was transformed into a university, and by law, you cannot serve as contract staff in the university, even if you are not from the state. So I became automatically a permanent and pensionable academic staff of the university. Now, without taking that risk of leaving a permanent and pensionable job, I wouldn't have been here today. So these are just two personal anecdotes. I know we have so many things to share, inshallah, and I think in our next session, we are going to do that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you, Prof. and Dr. Idris for sharing some of your stories with us. I think this is it's very important. We learn from these stories. As you've said, there are a number of examples, especially for a lot of people who studied in abroad, and once you're done with the studies, you have a lot of options and a lot of risks that you would have to take, and so I guess that would be for another session. Next, I'll call on Babangida Bishira. Probably we'll ask a few more. If you have questions, because we can't, as I can see a number of hands been raised. If you have any comment, any questions, please do just type it. I'll try and read that in the last few minutes that we've got. But for now, I think we'll call on 3 or 4 more, and then we'll call it a day, inshallah. Babangida Bishira. Yes, can you go ahead, please?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
Her question is I'm not question, but rather to thank my test with Dr. Idris Yana and the rest of the Prof. But so what one new here is that I have placed with that we have already studied kind of literature in English. So which kind of scholarship is more suitable for us? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Babangida. Again, I think your question, as I've mentioned earlier, I think our main concern today, or question that we want to hear from, is based on risk-taking and being resilient. Your question, it's a very important question, but it's in a broader range of the spectrum. So we'll leave it to be addressed later. You can contact, Wudil or any of the AYMP members or mentors, and hopefully, inshallah, your answer would be answered. Do join the group, and there's a lot of opportunities being advertised. Muhammad Hadiya Ismail. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Okay, my one is just to just add some little points about resilience. Sometimes for you to be resilient is just to assess the situation, the current situation you are. If I should persist and endure in the phase I am, what I'm aspiring to be, what are the likely outcomes of succeeding in that path? And as well, trying to see, okay, if I should quit, what are the likely outcomes? In my own case, let me just give it like a kind of case study. When I was in school, I went to the University area. There was a time I was thinking of actually quitting. So I just sat down, okay, now, if I should quit, I look at my environment. If I should quit, I should not persist, because I was being I was facing so many adversities. So which led to me thinking, okay, let me just, maybe if I should quit, even if it is for some time, maybe to defer the session, this and that. So when I was, okay, now, if I should quit and not to succeed on being a pharmacist, I assessed my family situation and also the people around me. What am I likely to be? So I really didn't want to be in that situation. That served as motivation for me to, okay, definitely I cannot continue in that lane. I have to do something that will make me succeed. I had to just see some solutions, how to work around my situation, my difficulties, because if I should succeed, there are people that are dependent on me, not even financially, but at least to serve as motivation to them. I have been able to succeed because I know the environment I came from. Alhamdulillah, Dr. Yakubu Udil know definitely what I was talking about. I know the kind of situation, because then among my friends, I think I was the only person that was successful in going to university. Then if I should now kind of quit, I cannot be a motivation to any other person to think of. Maybe they will think, okay, Dama, we have told him he cannot do it, this and that. And I persisted, alhamdulillah. Now looking at the results, at least in my own personal life, at least it has changed my life, and I can touch 1 or 2 lives. So sometimes it's just for you to sit down and assess the situation. If I should succeed, what are the likely outcomes? And if I should not succeed, if I should quit, what are the likely outcomes? That will serve as motivation for us to continue what we are doing, or to persist in any kind of adversity. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Really, what you've said it's true. You have to reflect and look at what are the benefits. What do you benefit from not giving up, from not quitting? And at the end of the day, that would be a great motivation for you to continue your struggle, or continue putting in the effort, being resilient, and taking more risks. So thank you very much. I think we'll get 2 more questions, and we'll call it a day. Nasir Sabo. Nasir Sabo, do you have a question to ask?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings to everyone. My own is just to commend your effort all to design something for us in order to guide us through the struggle of life, especially during this scenario we are in today, where most of the students, the youth are at home, just at home like that, without doing some things. These tips you share with us indeed will go a long way to motivate and to guide us through our struggle. And if one is not having something doing, this can serve to motivate one to start up something that will help someone in the 21st century. Indeed, thank you for all you are doing. My own
Thank
is
you.
just.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And finally, Sunusi Samaila.
Sorry, my question, the question I wanted to ask has been taken over by someone, and I'm okay with the response. Thank you.
Okay. So, alhamdulillah, thank you. Finally, I think we'll hear from Dr. Udil. Give us a short closing remark. Again, you could continue the discussion on any of the social media platforms, on Telegram, on WhatsApp, Facebook, and what have you. So do get involved and keep on the discussions. Finally, Dr. Yakubu Udil, if you could give us the closing remarks.
So thank you very much, Dr. Tariq, and alhamdulillah, I think we have had a wonderful session. So I would also like to really thank Dr. Idris Yana for this insightful and rich presentation. One thing that I would like to emphasize is, please, for those who have attended, we are fully aware that there are many people who are unable to attend, maybe because of one reason or the other, internet connection, electricity, and many others. So what we want to do is, please, when you attend, whatever you gain here, try to impact others, maybe your brothers, your sisters, your friends, you know, all the motivations that you have got here. It is through that we will be able to achieve our collective goal of transforming the northern region and all the problems that we face. It's by so doing that we'll be able to at least reduce them to the barest minimum. Especially like the topic of this nature that we have discussed today. I remember that the presenter was talking about people should be able to, even if they don't have the innate attitude to taking risk, they should develop it, the resilience. So that reminds me of a paragraph that I wrote regarding this Stanford Marshmallow experiment, Dr. Tariq, if you remember. I mean, it shows this ability to take risk. You see, it's not only giving you opportunity on what you want to get. For instance, you want to get admission, scholarship, or job. You take some risks and you get it. That's fine. But what research is showing even is that like this Stanford Marshmallow experiment, kids were isolated in a room and they were asked to decide either to be given a single like sweet, that's called marshmallow, or maybe they wait for some like 15 minutes and then they'll be given 2 sweets. So like they were isolated in a room and they are allowed to take the decisions, you know, without any interference of the instructor. And what happened was those choices made by the students, they were recorded, and the trajectory of the students were followed for like 2 decades, 20 years. And what the research shows was those students who were able to delay the, you know, the gratifications, they even fared well in terms of not only their academics, but even in terms of their psychological health, in terms of their academics, you know, even their body mass index, they did well, better than those with, you know, risk aversion attitude. So this is just a comment. I will not talk much on this. Dr. Idris has already done justice to the topic. So for those also who ask about the slides, we will share them usually to the Telegram page. That's the normal thing we do. So if you are not on the Telegram or even other social, because we share some opportunities through the Facebook, the Instagram, and many other pages. So I'm now sharing this, even the YouTube channel, maybe some have not subscribed. I am sharing now the I think you can see it, right? Sorry, if I shared that, the links, social media handles. Okay, so you can use that. So I think with this small few things, I would like to thank you all for coming. I know I was recently in Nigeria a few weeks back, so I know how difficult it was to join this program, especially from Nigeria, internet and electricity challenges. So it shows really that you are committed to your cause. So thank you very much for coming, and we hope we'll see you in our next session very soon, inshallah. Thank you, Dr. Sari.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you, Professor, and thank you, Dr. Idris Yana. We really appreciate it. And to the participants, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.